A true autumnal day here in Berkshire. We are on the Highclere estate for one of the great events of the racing calendar. This is the Yearlings Parade. It's part auction, part catwalk. New, well, year-old, i.e. yearling, racehorses will be shown to potential syndicate owners by the trainers as the new tranche of racehorses to own, to go into training and perhaps even run at somewhere like the Derby or Ascot. This is an event where dreams are made, and certainly those dreams are going to be well watered. So let's see what sprouts from it. So to explain everything that goes on today, I turn, of course, to wiser and more experienced minds, specifically Harry Herbert. Harry, it's lovely to be here with you.
Oh, great to see you.
You are in charge of today, in theory, and this is your big day. This is what you've been building up to for a while.
Yeah.
But for everybody who's watching, could you actually explain more about exactly what the Yearlings Parade is about? I mean, how old it is, and what the aim of today is.
Sure, absolutely. So today is showing off our new horses. So I set up Highclere Thoroughbred Racing unbelievably 33 years ago, and we were the first multiple ownership company in Europe. I came back from America, thought of the idea, fractional ownership if you like. Yeah. And owning a racehorse 33 years ago is expensive, and now it's even more expensive. It costs you about £45,000 a year to train if you had one horse of your own, and whether that horse cost 1,000 guineas or 1,000,000, it still costs the same to train. Yeah. And the average price in book one, which is the smart book at Tattersall Sales, is not far off 300,000 guineas as we deal in,
yes.
£1 and 5 pence. Yeah. So it's mighty expensive. So the point of Highclere Thoroughbred Racing is me saying you don't have to spend that much. You can spend 10 grand and be involved in a very well-bred, beautifully conformed yearling, bought by the best guys in the business, John Warren, my brother-in-law, and Jake Warren, his son, and compete at the top table, have runners at Royal Ascot. And
we're talking here about syndicates as well.
Yes.
Right, okay, so the syndicates, people join, buy into, it's shares ultimately.
It's shares.
In a horse, so, with the idea that ultimately what the horses that are going to be shown on parade today are ones, as you say, that will be at Ascot and could be, prize-winning horses.
Absolutely, mostly 5% shares, 20 share syndicates, yeah. which when people go racing is actually very small because either live abroad or they can't go or whatever. Yeah. But the system works really, really well, and our communication with our owners, each horse is a syndicate, by the way, is such that you feel like you're the sole owner of the horse. And that's the big difference with Highclere. It's the communication flow, the success of the horses, consistent success over that time period. Yeah. We've won classics in the Derby, we've won, the 1,000 guineas, we've been placed in all the classics, we've had 8 European champions. That's what we're about. We want to take you to the sort of right at the top, to compete at the places you all dream about having a runner, but for a fraction of the price that it would cost you if you owned your own racehorse, in a nutshell.
Well, let's talk about the horses specifically. When someone comes here, they want to buy into it, they want to get their 5 shares. What is the thing that people are looking for most in a horse when they see it on parade here?
Well, John Warren and Jake and I are going to explain everything, why we bought the horses. They're looking at, you're going to see 11 horses, 11 yearlings, over £1 million worth. But those horses, we've looked at hundreds of thousands to get to these few. Right. So these are bought for a very good reason. They're bought because they are beautifully conformed, they have great movement. Imagine any good athlete, if you saw me walking along or some Olympic gold medal winner, you wouldn't pick me. It's the same in a horse. You want.
I don't know if that's true.
I think
I'm sure there are some things you could compete in. Let's rewind that. Anyway, sorry, you're saying
it's how a horse moves exactly, and we'll explain all of that. Why did we buy this horse? How does show us why this horse moves so well? Yeah. And then, of course, a pedigree is everything as well. And so it's everything. It's to go with the conformation. Yeah. So you can see on the page exactly how well bred or otherwise the horse is. We've bought these horses. They're by the top stallions in the country. A couple are by new stallions, which is exciting, and we've had lots of success with that. You can tend to get a horse less expensive from a sire that's first crop are at the sales this year. But they have to pass a very rigorous inspection test from us all. And then it's a question of, can we afford them? Well, if you're up against Sheikh Mohammed or a lot of the, the power, it's going to be really hard and very frustrating, because you think you're never going to buy a horse. But they do fall through the net. And the horses that we've bought over the last 3 weeks, as we'll show today, are so beautiful. Lovely horses. And so long as we haven't lost our touch, a number of them really will be racing, hopefully at Royal Ascot next year or the year after.
So from here, there's a sort of period of training that is an expected period before they start racing.
They go to top trainers. Most of the top trainers are here at the parades today. They were as well yesterday. So they will also talk about the horse and hopefully how excited they are to receive the horse. And part of the fun of being a Highclere share owner is not just pitching up on race day. It's all what leads up to that point. So stable visits, staying in the Jockey Club rooms in Newmarket, making the social side of it really on point and how it should be. And other social events we do throughout the year. We had a fabulous cocktail party with Theo Fennell just before Royal Ascot. We do quite a number of events that have to always pass the test. Is that something that we would like to go to or do? A lot of opportunities to go to racing abroad, from the Arc de Triomphe to anywhere where there's fabulous racing, we'll organise it, and get visits to stud farms in Ireland and in Newmarket.
And do you think that's a really important part of what it is that you do, is that maintaining the social aspect of racing rather than it just being this kind of transactional thing?
Because
such
a good
it's
point.
Very expensive, but obviously it slightly loses its soul slightly if it just became about money.
Spot on. It is absolutely essential. When I set up the company, that had to be a very important part of it, because horses can be good, they can be bad, they can be very good, and then they go wrong. We have the best 1.5 mile 3-year-old in the country this year, and he'd won at Royal Ascot and he'd won at Glorious Goodwood, about to run in the Arc. And he suffered an injury. This is not a flat line of I have a horse. This is spikes and massive excitement that people have never experienced in their lives before. Seeing your horse win at one of these great meetings, but also there has to be the backup to it. There has to be the fun social part, which is become essential as a Highclere owner. And I think it's fair to say that. We would do that, I'd like to say, better than anyone else does it, because it is so important. So lunches, dinners, as I say, special trips to places no one else can get to, such as private visit to Coolmore Stud in Ireland is something very special.
Amazing.
And even a trip to the Palio this year, and all sorts of.
So it takes you many places.
Yeah, many places.
It's very
and that's all. It's all sort of in, if you like.
Yeah.
I mean, because you may pay a little bit extra if you've got to hop on a plane, but basically, for your when you pay your share price. That covers you for a whole year, all training, all everything.
Yeah.
So you're not constantly getting monthly bills, which drives people bonkers. And you know what you're in for. You're in for this much for year one, this much for year two, and hopefully if the horse is good and has prize money and sell proceeds, then obviously that all comes back to you, the share owner. And Highclere, we take a management fee per share, which is all included and is obviously well explained.
Sure.
Touch wood, we've never had a problem. We've never had a legal problem. We've never had a financial issue. Well, I've got it's when I started, there was syndicates. Dodgy.
Well, you hear syndicates, and often you think of shooting. So it's about that kind of people clubbing together one way or another.
Yes.
And so with the people that are here, do you see the same old faces every year come back, or is it new faces? People who wanted to get into racing the first time, and this is that access point.
Very much new faces as well. We've had folks who've been with us for many years, and it's lovely because some people say it literally has changed their lives. So, they've whatever age they are, but especially some of those that might have lost a partner or whatever, a husband or a wife, and feel a bit lonely, and then suddenly you've got a Highclere sort of scoop up, if you like. But very much a younger group coming in too, which is great, and so Yeah, it's vital to have the energy and the buzz, and always, I said earlier, always asking a person, what would we want to do? What, Jake, Warren, what would you want to be doing? You're, 40 and, and running things, different. I don't want to be the old, just sort of lurking around doing everything same old. So we are always looking to do new, fun things, and we know this system works very well at Highclere. Ultimately, we do buy nice horses, and we make it as painless as possible, if you like, for the journey of the life of the syndicate, which could be 3 years.
Yeah, and finally, we're about to go in there. This is the first time I've been to something like this. I know that all 11 are going to be wonderful, but is there one in particular that you want me to keep my eye out for as a really great example of a sort of superb yearling? And what is a yearling? What defines a yearling?
It's a 1-year-old horse.
1-year-old.
Every horse, his official birthday is January the 1st.
Okay.
So that means that you have 2-year-old racing, 3-year-old racing, and older horse racing.
Sort of reminds me of school. When you were first year at school, I was called a yearling.
Yeah.
It's a trauma. It's going to
God.
Okay.
So they're all 1-year-olds, yeah.
Okay, sorry. So back to the other question. If there's one you want me to look at, so you are comfortable that if I see that horse and I observe it, I'll leave knowing more about what a beautiful racehorse looks like than I did when I arrived. Do you have one in mind?
Yeah. I mean, you're asking me what my favourite child is, but
sorry.
I'll do my best to answer it. I think when you look at the, all will have the same. Like you'll look at them and you go, well, why does the one that costs just under 200,000 to my eye look same as the one that costs 80,000?
Yeah.
That's because they have to be those beautifully conformed animals. But pedigree is everything, as it were, in a thoroughbred. Not everything, but it counts for a lot. And so I would say, for you to follow this year, follow the See the Stars filly. It's going to be trained by William Haggis. She cost 190,000. See the Stars is one of the greatest stallions there is in Europe right now. Sire of the Arc winner, Darius this year, and so many others. Kind of fun to see something that is so special that if another day she would have gone through the ring and would have made $500,000 to $1 million. And we were just incredibly lucky, is that for whatever reason, and this is the thing about horse sales or any sale, she fell through the net. So the See the Stars filly, last filly you'll see this morning. Okay. Follow her.
Look forward to it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy.
No, my pleasure. I hope you enjoy it.
I'm excited to see the rest of the day.
Enjoy the show.
Thank you very much. So the parade has been done. Harry has done his spiel, introducing the horses to everybody, and we have all emerged both soaking and also enthralled by the horses on parade. And I've been joined by Jake Rowan, who's a 5th generation here at Highclere Stud. Jake and I, you don't need to know this, go back quite a long way, but it's great to see him in his element, joining his father, who is a legendary figure in the sport. And Jake, thank you so much for joining us for this little video. You've both decided to come and show me this horse. I'm going to leave it over to you to explain exactly why, and just set it up as an example of why such an important part of the Yearling Parade for people to see the horses and what they're here to look at.
Well, we came to this fella because no one else was here, which was a nice break because he's been very, very popular throughout the parade. This is a son of one of the country's great stallions, Jake, isn't he? Blue Point. And we had to give 160,000 guineas for this horse from book one, where they average over 300,000?
Absolutely. I mean, just to put it in context, to produce this horse, his father stands for a fee of 100,000 euros. So just to get a foal on the ground by the father of this horse is 100,000 euros. To get into the sale in book one is notoriously difficult. There are only roughly about 500 horses in the whole of the European quality of thoroughbred breeding that get into this sale. Book one is the most competitive sale for horses because it is the elite of all thoroughbreds in Europe that come to Newmarket to be sold in a single catalogue. Last year, 2024, was the highest price of any book one sale on record. And it was very interesting. They had less horses that year. They had 470 horses. The sale was so strong that this year a lot more vendors wanted to put horses in, and the catalogue was expanded to 530. which has actually created a very interesting buying opportunity, because in principle there are actually less buyers than there were horses this year. So there are some horses making less than the vendors would have liked them to have made, and therefore cracks were appearing in the market. This horse in any given usual market would have made considerably more. The over demand of the horses getting into the sale and the lack of buyers, because they were frightened by last year's strength in the sale, created a fantastic opportunity. And Harry has been buying horses for 35 years under Highclere. He knows that the market goes up and down and sticks to a very consistent pattern of buying. And that enabled him not only to buy this fella for 160, but also to buy 6 others, which usually in a book one market where the average is 300 is a very, very challenging thing to do with the average price that Highclere are buying horses at. So this fella was a steal, but physically there's absolutely nothing wrong with him. He is, if anything, he's one of the best looking horses that was on the circuit. The stallion this year had horses that were making 1 million guineas in the same sale. And this fella has got a physique which is to die for. His mother was very fast. He's bred to be very fast, and he just looks like an absolute picture. So I think the shareholders will have a lot of fun with him. He's incredibly well bought. He has the capability of becoming a stallion. If he is good, or as good as his father, he could be worth multi-millions as a stallion prospect. His father's so good, and the physique is great. One of the most fundamental things that we look at with a horse is its physique. That has to marry up to the pedigree, but the physique is a really important part of things. There are some key metrics and key indicators. The way a horse moves at the walk directly transfers to how they move at the gallop. If they have an easy, fluid way of moving, you know that when they're in full flight galloping, they're going to have an extended reach, and they'll be able to carry themselves very well at the gallop. They also need to have a big depth of what we call heart room and lung capacity. The horse's lung, believe it or not, fits practically the whole side of its flank here, and its heart is based in this cavity here as well. The larger space there is, the more oxygen can pump around the body. And that's a really important metric for us. So we want to make sure that the horse has got a powerful, deep front and a good overall frame. There's a very common misconception when you're watching horse racing that you see a horse flying down the outside, speeding up. It's actually the opposite. What's happening is the horses in the race that can't breathe are struggling to power their muscles, are slowing down. And the ones that have got that big heart room and chest that can sustain the muscles with oxygen, they're just continuing at the same pace and able to get to the end of the race with a more efficient use of its muscle. So we want big deep fronts, great movement, powerful manly physiques, healthy look about them, good minds. You know, we very much we can't see what's inside their head, but we can see what's going on around them. And a lot of the time when we're looking at horses, you see them react to little things like someone walking around the corner with a wheelbarrow, or someone clapping in the corner that might change that horse's demeanour. And if they react well to all of those things, we know that they're going to respond well on race day, not get overwhelmed, control their adrenaline, and be able to put the race to bed when it matters. So all those things are important factors, and this horse had it all in spades.
And we put this horse into a 15-share syndicate at 18,000 odd pounds per share, and that share price covers everything, all expenses for a year. Then there's a much smaller amount due in year 2. So, and you think you had your own horse, it would cost you about 45,000 to have your horse trained, let alone buying the horse. So this represents such fantastic value if you want to get involved, hopefully, at the sharp end. George Bowie, top young trainer in Newmarket, is going to train him. He's had such success. He trained a classic winner for us, Cachet, who won the 1,000 guineas that Jake bought as a 2-year-old in training, and as a breeze up sale, and many others, including Believing. So, you know, the trainer combo works, the buying combo works. The more I look at this horse, the more excited I'm getting. Also looking at his front, Jake, he's an incredibly powerful chest on him. He's going to be a very fast 2-year-old, I think.
Syndicates in racing, and I'm getting rated a lot.